Hello and welcome to this Blender tutorial series. In this series you will learn the basics of Blender, a free open source 3D modeling software. No experience is necessary to start this series. In this first episode we will go through what you need, how to set up Blender, and an introduction to some of the basic concepts we will be using throughout the series. So let's get started. First we will talk about what you will need for this series. First of all, you obviously need a computer. Currently, Blender supports Windows Vista or newer, and Mac OS X 10.6 or newer, so you'll need a computer with one of those OSs on it. A Linux version is available, but isn't as straightforward to install, so that will not be covered in this tutorial. You will also need a 3-button mouse, which means it has a left-click button, a right-click button, and a scroll wheel, so not one of those lousy 1-button Apple mice. Finally, it is recommended, but not required, that you have a number pad on your keyboard. Many laptops do not have this, so if you're using a laptop, I would recommend plugging in an external keyboard. Again, this is not required, and I will demonstrate how to use Blender without it, but for most of the series I will be using a number pad. To download Blender, simply go to blender.org. On the home screen, you should see a blue button with the name of the latest release. At the time this video was made, the latest release was 2.77a. Click on that button and it will take you to the download page. Select the correct download for your computer and country. For Windows, there is a 64-bit and 32-bit version, as well as a ZIP and MSI version. I would recommend choosing the MSI version, but either will work. You will need to know if your computer is 64 or 32-bit to choose which to download. There are several ways to do this. First, check the box on your computer came in, or an instructional guide for your computer. It should tell you. Another easy way is to check the amount of RAM your computer has. If it has more than 4 gigabytes of RAM, which is the limit for 32-bit, then it is 64. Then click on the country you wish to download from on the country list. For the quickest download, choose the country you live in or closest to the country you live in geographically. Mac only has the zip version and only has 64-bit, so just select a country. After it downloads, open the installer and follow the prompt. Once you've installed Blender, open it up. You should see something that looks like my screen. Left-click to close the box in the middle of the screen. You should now see a large window in the middle of the screen with a cube and 2 other objects in it. This is called the 3D view. This allows you to view and edit your project in 3D space. Move your mouse into this window. Now scroll with the scroll wheel. As you can see, it is zooming in and out. You can also orbit around by holding in the scroll wheel and dragging. If you hold in the scroll wheel and drag and press the Shift key, you can pan around the view. These are the 3 basic controls of moving around the view, and we will be using these a lot in the coming videos. One final thing I want to talk about in this video is the X, Y, and Z axis. Blender uses a 3-axis system, and we will be using these axes to transform our objects. It's easy to tell one axis from another in Blender, as they are color-coded. X is red, Y is green, and Z is blue. This is another important concept that we will be using commonly. In the next video, we will begin creating and editing 3D objects, starting with a cube. Until then, try experimenting with the view controls and get to know the colors for the 3 axes. Feel free to leave questions in the comments. Thanks for watching, and remember to like and subscribe.